What's going on, everybody? SuperSaiyanPaul here, back at it again. Today I am joined once again by the one, the only legendary Mason, Unreal Entertainment Gaming.
What's up, guys? We're going to be talking about everybody's favorite character, Jiren, and just this is going to be interesting for one of many reasons. So
a very interesting debate here, and in terms of like just a breakdown of the character itself. This was actually inspired by one of Alex's videos. Make sure you guys go check it out. It's where he broke down Akira Toriyama's interview and like things of the concepts of the Tournament of Power, and one of the things that really caught my attention was one of the things between the anime team and him in terms of developing Jiren's character. Now, if you guys don't know, apparently he was actually supposed to have some of Toppo's traits. Alex can elaborate on that because he actually made the video. If you guys haven't, go check it out.
Well, the thing is, Akira Toriyama originally developed Jiren to be a quiet character, and when the Toei staff, or at least the anime staff, pretty much confronted him on his personality, Toriyama specifically said he does not talk. There's no personality. He is a lone assassin. I'm paraphrasing the word assassin, but he's a lone wolf. That's what he's made out to be. He's not supposed to be a character that speaks or anything like that. So we saw how the anime staff originally wanted to give Jiren Toppo's personality, which that would have been the worst thing I think that could have happened in the Tournament of Power arc, is to give Jiren Toppo's personality. So thank God on Toei's end for that. However, when the anime staff began to give Jiren some development and when he began to speak, Toriyama said, okay, well, instead of just ruining my character, here's his backstory. Just run with it. So by him having this Sasuke-like Batman story, they went off the notion of giving him more of a personality-esque trait, but not making him the same as someone like Toppo, which I totally agree with. Now, in terms of his personality, was he properly executed in Super? That really depends as a viewer, because that's very subjective. If I say yes, somebody out there could say no. If I say no, somebody out there could say yes. So it really varies on your viewpoint on Super as a whole. I think that, yes, the person that should have remained silent and had only a few words to say would be Hit, and he's been built that way, so that's awesome to see. Because why? Hit's an assassin. Jiren, on the other hand, understanding more or less his backstory as to why he doesn't trust anybody and why he fights for what he fights for, it makes sense, but I'm just very happy that they didn't give him the Toppo-esque justice this, justice that aspect, because that really would have been a detriment to his character. Do I think that he's been fully utilized in the Tournament of Power? That really varies, because again, I don't think he probably was. There could have been more for them to pretty much explore involving his character and his personality, but depending on the situation with his past having to be revealed and his final fight with Goku, you could say, okay, well, there could have been more room for him to grow, but I think that this is as far as they should have gone and should go with Jiren, because you don't want to make him too smiley, too happy, too, outgoing. You ought to keep him mysterious, but also serious at the same time, because that's the way he's been presented. And he's the type of character, honestly, that seems like he wouldn't take shit from anybody. He's one of those kind of guys.
And that was the really good thing about him in the beginning, for me at least. But I feel like even though he was meant to be the strong silent type, there's just something else that has to be added here. And honestly, we're about to dive into Super 130 and episode 131 spoilers, so make sure you guys click off if you guys don't want to hear it. But do you think that during the fight that they're going to reveal through battle some of Jiren's character? Because what we saw in episode 129, he had a smirk when Goku was about to ascend into Mastered Ultra Instinct, and it seemed as though he was enjoying the fight. Now, we barely know anything about his character besides that very short and subtle backstory, and here's where I had a little bit of a problem with it, is because that backstory wasn't enough to make his character fulfilling to me. I feel like we got more Brienne and more Toppo than we did him, and even Toppo was still wasted in terms of a character. But for Jiren, do you think in 130 throughout the fight he's just going to unleash some of his character, and especially the #1 key factor to Jiren and everything in terms of character development that could probably save him towards the end? Because a lot of people are calling him cardboard thin, and I have to agree with that a bit, is his wish and what he could potentially be wishing for. Is it for his family? Is it for something else? Did he get his wish through Goku technically in a new fighter? Is that what he wanted all along? What do you think it would be?
I mean, I think that as we go into 131, he's going to display more of his personality, but I think it's going to be to a sense to where he's going to be a lot more aggressive. I'm very happy of his development so far because he's been cool, calm, collected, nothing to really go off of like in terms of like explaining too much. But I just think that going into 131, they ought to allow him to be more of the aggressor. But in terms of them having to dive more into his origins, I wouldn't know if that would be a detriment to, you know, for his character now that we're entering the end. They should have explored his history in the beginning. Yep. Maybe midway during the tournament. That way we could have gotten a better understanding as to what's been happening with him and why he's the way he is. But they pretty much reveal that at the very end, like, oh, guess what? So my master was killed, my family was killed, ooga booga. So it's just like, okay, well, damn, a little too late on that. But if they did that during the beginning, it would have made more sense because they would have allowed him to grow more on us.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
No, exactly. So I just think now the way they're going to end it off, he just seems like he's going to be more or less the aggressor. And I really hope they execute that well enough, because if they don't, it'll be a huge detriment to his character.
Like what you just said there, if they had put that backstory instead of like, what was that, episode 127 or 128? I think it was 126 or somewhere between 126 to 128.
I think it was 128 or 127. Which, yeah, with 17 having to talk to him about that. Yeah.
If they had put that in the beginning or towards the middle where Brienne started taking over, they could have that having that like mindset, knowing that you're looking at this character throughout the entire fight, would have changed his dynamic so much. But I feel like it was just shoehorned in there at the very end here, because even though he was made to be a strong, silent character, he is kind of stale. And tell me right now in the comment section below, guys, do you guys think that he was a fulfilling character, or is he kind of stale? Alex really likes the concept of his strong, silent demeanor, but the thing is, I just don't like the fact that because of his own arrogance, he's created the death of his universe through Goku. And that's like, I wish I had more character to go along with this, because, dude, your own ego just got all of you killed, and you could have eliminated everyone in the tournament at the very beginning with how powerful you were.
Yeah, but that's what's most special about him. He knows that he could have, but he chooses not to.
But at the same time, if he had that, like, if he had that mindset, what was his wish? Was it for someone stronger? If not, if it was something more fulfilling, like reviving a family member or something, or like eliminating evil, he just threw that all to waste. I don't necessarily see what he could have done with it.
Well, I mean, I think that he knew. I definitely feel like he knew going into this that he could have easily wiped out most of the people in this tournament, which is why he didn't do so to begin with. And it's very smart in that aspect, because he could have done what everyone thought he was going to do, but he chose not to. I just think that in the manga it's completely different because his personality is just out there. But I don't know, to me, I just feel like what's being done in the anime right now, it is what it is. I mean, there's not really much you can go back and change, but I think that in the manga, he's going to be a bit more outgoing, and I'm not sure how I feel about that. It might be a good thing, don't get me wrong, but seeing as how they've been developing him and you know, they've been building him up, I just think that there is a chance that he may show more personality in the manga aspect. But then again, that's going to be very conflicting with the anime aspect, because if he ends up showing more personality in the manga, then how would that affect his anime counterpart? It's like, which one would you rather prefer as a fan, you know?
And I feel like that's what they saved some room for the manga to do, because in the manga, them having that chance to add some of Jiren's character, even though it may not be 100% what Akira Toriyama wanted, I feel like the anime staff did have some sort of point as to they need to add something to this. Some people like Jiren's character, some people don't. My personal opinion, I'm not necessarily 100% down with what they've given us here so far, and I think that wish and what he does in these battles can change that drastically, but they have to utilize every second of what they've given us. Otherwise, to me, compared to every other villain that's been sparked by mainly Goku, it's kind of a down, it's like watered down compared to them, in my opinion, because there's history with most of them. Dating back to Frieza, Cell, Vegeta, Majin Buu, all of these guys, including Beerus, all have some really strong sense in terms of like history. Even Goku Black, every single one. But Jiren, I don't feel like it was built up enough.
I mean, that all varies on, like, he was introduced way too late, in my opinion, 109, when he fought Goku. I just think that his execution was pretty good, but then after the fight with Goku was the biggest downfall for him, because all he did was just stand there. Like, that really sucked, because he could have done more in showcasing his power and personality against other fighters like probably Kefla, Vegeta, etc. But he just chose to meditate, and I'm like, okay, well, why would you meditate? What benefit do you have of meditating over fighting the rest of the people off in this tournament, you know? So for the most part, it was what it was. I think that I really enjoyed seeing him fight Goku, but in terms of the way he was presented, I enjoyed it personally. Could they have done more, of course, but I just think that it was a little too late for them to even explain his story or whatnot. I mean, they did it at the very end of the arc, so it's like, okay, well, there goes that plan. But in the end, I'm satisfied and I'm ready to see what they're gonna do in the manga.
Anyway, guys, thank you guys so much for watching. That's been both my opinions as well as Unreal Entertainment Gaming's. Make sure you guys check out his channel. Link will be in the description. Make sure you guys subscribe to him, like the video, comment down below, and turn on notifications. Thank you, Alex, for being on the channel.
Thank you, man.
We'll be seeing you guys next time. Take care.
Peace.
Peace.
Yeah.